Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is a screencast-matic presentation and recording for the part of the lesson that has us looking at the filibuster in Congress. Before we get started, please let me encourage you to open up to today's lesson, scroll down the correct section, and get ready to answer the key concept questions that coincide with this reading. Please also remember to provide your own extended response at the very end of this reading and provide supporting detail. Please remember that you can replay any part of this presentation for detail, clarity, or repetition later on. Let's go ahead and get started. Should the filibuster be eliminated? Now, you've probably heard the phrase the majority rules a million times in the classroom, at the dinner table, on movie night with friends, but the U.S. Senate requires more than a majority, 60 votes out of 100, to end debate on most legislation. This has allowed the party in the majority to hold up or filibuster a bill to keep it from coming up for simple majority vote. To some, it's an important Senate tradition that keeps the majority party in check, but to others, it's a key reason for good luck in Washington. In 2013, Senate Democrats abolished the filibuster for all judicial appointments, except for appointments to the Supreme Court. Now, 4 years later, Senate Republicans did away with the filibuster for Supreme Court nominations as well. Now, some Democrats want to eliminate it altogether. The current Senate Majority Leader and a former Senate Majority Leader face off on whether this is a good idea for American democracy. Let's go to the yes side first. Yes. The Senate was designed to serve as the slower, more deliberative body of the U.S. Congress. But what's happening today is a far cry from what the framers intended, and that's because of the procedural rule known as the filibuster. Not part of the framers' original vision, this filibuster was created in 1917. The recent abuse of the filibuster rule means that virtually all Senate business requires 60 of the 100 senators' votes to proceed. This means a simple majority isn't enough to advance even the most bipartisan legislation. The result has been good luck. The Senate is now a place where the most pressing issues face our country are ignored, along with the will of the American people overwhelmingly calling for action. Something must change, and that's why I'm now calling for the Senate to abolish the filibuster in all of its forms. It's time to allow a simple majority vote instead of the 60-vote threshold now required. When the American people demand change and elect a new Senate, a new majority leader must be able to respond to that call and pass legislation. The list of issues stalled by the Senate filibuster is enormous and still growing. A plan to address climate change, immigration reform, gun control measures, and many more. If the Senate cannot address the most important issues of our time, then it is time for the chamber itself to change, as it has done in the past. I didn't come to this decision lightly. For 100 years, the filibuster was a symbol of the Senate's famed role as the world's greatest deliberative body. A place where collegiality and compromise held sway and issues could be discussed rationally and agreements could be reached. So the 60-vote requirement reflected these ideals. Sadly, we're not now living in the same legislative world. The Senate is a living body, and to survive, it must change, as it has throughout our history. The American people elect leaders to address the issues facing our country, and the filibuster has made it impossible for Congress to do just that. And that's from former Senator Harry Reid, a Democrat of Nevada and former Majority Leader. Now let's move on to the other side. No. The current proposal to eliminate the legislative filibuster, the 60-vote requirement to end debate on legislation and move it to a vote, is a direct assault on some of the Senate's most fundamental traditions. The Senate was designed to work differently than the House of Representatives. One of the Senate's central purposes is making new laws earn broader support than what is required to the bare majority in the House. So the legislative filibuster does not appear in the Constitution's text, but it's a direct descendant of our founding tradition. It echoes James Madison's explanation in the Federalist Papers, and in the Senate is designed not to rubber stamp House bills, but to act as an additional impediment. Now, and complicated check on improper acts of legislation. The filibuster embodies Thomas Jefferson's principle that great innovation should not be forced on slender majorities. In other words, major laws with lots of real-world consequences for Americans shouldn't be passed without broad support. Yes, the Senate's design makes it difficult for one party to enact sweeping legislation on its own. Yes, the filibuster makes policy less likely to seesaw widely with every election. These are the intentional features of the Senate's design and bugs to be worked out. I recognize that it may seem odd that a Senate Majority Leader opposes a proposal to increase his own power, but my Republican colleagues and I will not vandalize this core tradition for short-term gain. Besides, we recognize what everyone should recognize. There are no permanent victories in politics. Political winds shift often, and those of us in the majority today might be in the minority tomorrow. Strong provisions to protect minority rights have always been the Senate's distinguishing feature, and if we eliminate the filibuster altogether, we'll have lost a key safeguard of American government. And that is from Senator Mitch McConnell, who's Republican from Kentucky and the current Senate Majority Leader. So now's your turn. What do you think? Should the filibuster be eliminated? Please make sure that on your lesson you choose one side and providing detail as to why you believe that way. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good luck with completing the rest of the lesson.